Hello, I'm Sally Callow, Managing Director of Stripey Lightbulb, CIC. Employers, please listen to this video. For the past 5 years, employers have been telling me, of all shapes and sizes, that they don't need to learn about ME/CFS because they know what ME/CFS is. They're able to support their staff with ME/CFS and they don't see that there's a problem. I've always said that there is a disconnect between the support that employers feel they are supplying and the support and care that employees feel that they are receiving. Long COVID kind of proved my point. I can't tell you the amount of emails I've received over the past 3 and a bit years from employers who say, I've heard that long COVID is similar to ME. If I did your training, would it allow me to help this member of staff to stay in employment? They're a valued member of staff. Or it's, oh, I've heard it's similar, but I don't think I need to do the training. Can you just give me some one-on-one advice on how to support this member of staff? My point would be, if employers actually knew what ME/CFS was, they would have realised, without seeking expert advice, that their member of staff has something that's very similar to ME/CFS, and whether they get that diagnosis in the end or not, the support measures that we recommend in our training would be relevant to that member of staff. Now in 2023, in fact since 2022, but now it's more acknowledged, half of long COVID cases meet ME/CFS diagnostic criteria. That being the case, it means that half of long COVID have ME/CFS. So why were employers taken by surprise by long COVID and the additional support needs if they fully understood what ME/CFS was? Please take a look at our training. So this is our website, stripeylightbulb.com, and if you go to the training tab and go to training for employers, you can see that it's specific to any kind of sector, but if you are an employer, this is how you should be supporting your member of staff. And as I've written on the website, ME/CFS patients with a mild level of severity would be able to continue working part-time if their employer understood the condition and offered appropriate adjustments. And why do you need to know about ME/CFS? And here are 6 points. You will know how to keep patients in work where possible. You'll be able to help the well-being of patients, members of staff. You will improve your attrition rates. Knowledge of the condition and appropriate adaptations equals a USP for customers with ME/CFS. Supermarkets need to know about ME/CFS in particular, and banks. Anything with like a customer service element. Knowledge helps to reduce stigma felt in the workplace and wider community, and the suggested adaptations for ME/CFS are in part suitable for most other chronic illnesses, including fibromyalgia, Lyme disease and lupus. So what's included in our training? You learn about the wider aspects of the disease because it's key to the patient experience. So you need to understand the background to understand the lived experience of the people that have got the disease. And patients are at the very centre of our training. So you'll learn what ME/CFS is, a bit about the background, how it presents in people, what symptoms we have, what those symptoms feel like, why it's so difficult to stay in employment, but then also how you can help that person to stay in employment where possible. Now, I've said this many times since 2018. 75% of ME/CFS patients are physically unable to stay in employment. However, there are an awful lot of people in the other 25% that are unable to find employment that's appropriate. They can't get flexible working hours. They can't find part-time employment. They can't get job share because it's all very well dropping the hours, but you then also need to tweak the activities that you do day in, day out to make part-time hours appropriate. Anyway, I'm not going to give the game away. You need to sign up to our training. We've currently got a pay what you can afford scheme going because of the cost of living crisis. If you are a corporate, please, we do group licenses. Please buy 100 seats and dish them out to your staff as appropriate, whether that's your occupational health team, supervisors, management, because there are now in the UK alone 1.25 million people in the UK that meet ME/CFS diagnostic criteria. But only around, 25-30% of those will actually get a diagnosis. There may well be a point in the future where people are dropping out of employment without having a diagnosis because it's very hard to get one, but they simply do not have the energy to go into work. And also, if you tell your employees that you are ME/CFS aware after you've done our training, if you tell them that you're Spoonie friendly, you'll know what that means if you do our training. Then they are more likely to be open with you, more likely to disclose their illness. They may not know what label to give it yet, but they may come forward to you and say, I'm really struggling with my energy levels. I can't concentrate for long periods of time. Can I please drop down to part-time hours? You cannot make an informed decision about a staffing issue if you do not have the knowledge base on this disease. Because when you hear long COVID, you should now also be immediately thinking ME/CFS, because half of cases meet that criteria. So learn about ME/CFS. Don't just do a half an hour webinar on long COVID. Learn about ME/CFS. This illness has existed for decades. And everything that is known about the disease is included in my training. 3 hours, CPD accredited, and it's online, so you can start and stop whenever you like. Please do take a look at the website, stripelightbulb.com, and sign up today.